Hey everyone, welcome to this special episode of TemTalk. I don't get to join on this one. I'm gone for the holiday weekend when they recorded it. So it's just Gaijin and Kennedy left to their own devices without my moderating hand. Shenanigans ensue. I apologize for the terrible singing, but it's a good episode. Enjoy it. Look for some Easter egg text from me appearing on screen throughout the episode as I edited it. And stay tuned to the very end of the episode because I included a little bit of bonus content behind the scenes from the two of them and the broadcaster. Enjoy.
3, 2, 1. All right, let's give 5 seconds for Vonlin to cut literally all of that out.
Should we?
Welcome, everybody, to TemTalk, a creature collection. I already messed up. All right. Welcome, everybody, to TemTalk, a podcast about the creature collection MMO, Temtem. I'm Presby Kennedy, joined always by Gaijin Boo. Gaijin, you want to say a shout out to the people?
Hey there, everybody. How are you guys? This is episode 20 of TemTalk. Vonlin has retired, and I'm your new host. Kennedy's the co-host. And Vonlin says bye, and he loves you all.
Yeah, Vonlin's gonna listen to that. Filling in for Vonlin, I guess, in the background. Dan, if you want to provide any commentary, you're more than welcome to. You don't have to feel stressed to. We've got German Vonlin. Dan, if you want to say hello, you can.
Hello.
And yeah, we got a great episode for everybody today. So thank you for tuning in. As always, we are just going to jump into this, starting off this week with the news. It has been a super fun week for me playing Temtem again. Anything that is not me Luma hunting for 40 plus hours in Cypark is a fun week in Temtem for me. So moving to our first segment, the news. We're going to start off this week with the free Tem, if you want to bring that up on stream. Vonlin? Vonlin. German Vonlin. Nah, I'm kidding. If you want to bring that up on stream, Dan. The free Tem for this week, it was a pretty super big free Tem. 475 releases got you 2 attack telomere hacks. The base release was 2 Psy cards for 60 tens, 150 releases for 3 Weakener oranges, and 300 releases for 1 lavender die. Gaijin, did you do any free Tem this week?
Yeah.
Yeah, you don't have to just laugh in my face about
it. I released all 5,682 of them. I did well. I got 7 attack telomere hacks. No, I didn't. I spent all my time in Cypark trying to find a Lumakaku on my main account. I'm now at 36 or 35 days without a Luma on that account, so I've been trying to get a Lumakaku. So I've not done any free Tem. I usually find myself not having enough time. I really need to start doing free Tem before Luma hunting. I think it's the only way, honestly, at this point. But yeah, no, I didn't do a single thing. I might try it over these today and tomorrow, though. I might just go for the 475 and stop looking for Lumakaku, as sad as that is.
Yeah, I myself, I'm at 200 free Tem currently, so I have to finish this up and try and hit the rest of it hard. You can see in the background, I'm already, I'm outside the Magnus farm now to go in and finish up my free Tem. I had that thought at the start of the week. I saw the attack telomere hacks, and I was like, oh, need those. Got a free Tem hard this week. And Tuesday, I was at 200 by Tuesday morning. I was like, I'm doing so good this week. I can take a break for a little while, and I'll, finish this up later. Wednesday, didn't touch free Tem. Thursday, didn't touch free Tem. Friday, didn't touch free Tem. And here we are. So I've got 275 more to go through. It is a really hefty, big amount of releases for those telomere hacks, but the hacks are worth it. So
Understandable though. I mean, 2 telomere hacks, that's pretty big, especially for attack. So I know a lot of people are going to want those. So yeah, I can totally understand that there. But man,
okay.
475.
Moving into the Psy Park for the week, it was 2,700 Pansons, and it got you 10 Psy cards on a Luma week in Psy Park, with Kaku at 100% spawn rate with 3 times the Luma chance and a 20% egg move chance on Saku. And then Hadati was at a 75% spawn rate with double the Luma chances and a 20% chance for egg moves on Hadati. I think I went to Psy Park and I did 2 encounters, and then I was like, I'm not going to Luma hunt this week. Although I admit Lifeful Sap Saku, a Luma Lifeful Sap Saku is a huge flex and competitive. So I do admit this is a good Psy Park week, but I've been hurt before. How about you, Gaijin?
I've been hurt before. You've been hurt before. Let me tell you, Kennedy. I found a 7 green stat Luma Kaku with the correct trait and Lightful Sap on my giveaway account. So I've been hurt.
Yeah, I was actually watching live when you found that Saku, and I was like, Kaku. I was like, he got a Luma Kaku. That's so cool. And then it used Lifeful Sap, and I was like, he got the flex. He did it. He did it. And then you're like, I'm giving it away, and I was like, aw, poor guy.
Yeah. But yeah. So I found 2 Luma Kakus this week. Both of them on my giveaway account. So I've given away 2 Luma Kakus. One was just OP, 7 green stats. The other one was just fairly average. It had the incorrect trait. It did not have the egg move, and it just, the stats were okay, not great, not bad, but not great. So I've gotten 2 so far this week, and my main account's got nothing. So yeah, I mean, I haven't gone as hard this week as I normally do, though. The past big weeks still have me a little burnt out between Valash and Tuai. I'm just like, ugh.
I tune in and I watch your streams throughout the week, and I will not lie. Marbles is the most soul crushing thing for me. It's just like, it's watching my hopes and dreams just slowly like fade and burn away. And whenever my marble gets yeeted off, and like I know I'm not gonna win the giveaway, like the Sarah McLachlan music's just playing in my head. It's just like, I will remember you.
I mean, I've been doing them as Grand Prix now instead of just a single race. So I mean, you have 3 chances to not get yeeted.
I have 3 chances to feel bad, which is I did enter the marbles race for the Kaku, and my girlfriend was in the room with me at the time, and she was sleeping. But I
Not
know.
afterwards.
Well, no. I actually asked you on stream and asked her. I was like, "Yo, can I log into your account and enter this giveaway for you?" And you were cool with it, and so I entered her. And so with me with 1 chance and her with 1 chance, I still won like 0 races. But it's all cool. Like, I'm only secretly salty.
Only secretly.
But in general, I feel like this was a pretty good Psy Park week, and we can just move right on to the next bit of news from there. Oh, the official Twitter of TimTim tweeted out a discussion that happened inside of the Discord earlier this week. Suki was talking to different people. The community manager, Suki, was talking to different people about the information on the upcoming patch, specifically about what clubs will be like in the patch. And they tweeted out all of the information that she gave on the Discord in a easy to read post. Somebody summarized it on Reddit, but I thought the tweet was just a little bit cleaner. So running through that real quick, here are some of the things that got revealed. Clubs will have a size limit of 50 tamers. They can be formed anywhere straight from the menu. Clubs have one leader, co-leaders, recruiters, and standard members. So there's going to be 4 different ranks within clubs. Clubs will have 2 names, the long one up to 25 characters and an abbreviated version up to 10. Same rules as for character names. Clubs can be set to private, only joining with invitation, or public, where everyone can join. I really like that feature. Another game I played had it. Clubs will have chat, so there will be like an internal club chat. Clubs will have customizable banners, and we'll get back to this later in the episode. I think that's a really cool feature. There are many options to choose from to ensure originality. Keep in mind, this is the first iteration of clubs, and as such, will have no game mechanics yet. Another really cool thing that was talked about. And you can only be in one club at a time. So, Gaijin, I know you have plans to form the Boo Crew, I think you said, for your club. How do you feel like about this info?
I personally feel pretty good about it. It looks like a decent like start, and I think 50 tamers for a club seems about right. I mean, I know some people want more, but I mean, I can't imagine club wars with 100 or 200 people just going at it. That just seems like a really long time for battles to be happening between clubs, and I think 50 seems about right. And with ultimately what I imagine the active player base after full launch is going to be, I still think 50 is probably going to be pretty decent. It just it seems like a good size. The I like the whole like different positions, so you can have other people to help you with it. The co-leader and the recruiters is actually really cool, and is similar to how they do it in some of the other MMOs that I've done, which is nice. I do like that they're going to have the abbreviations and a longer name, so you can have like a long name, but it's not just going to be displayed really longly next to your name. Thank goodness. Uh, but my problem here is the customizable banner. I am so uncreative, and I'm curious how that's going to be.
I want to respond to something that was said in chat that I didn't even think about. Lottie Dottie asked, how much do you guys think it's going to cost? I do know in other games it normally does cost something to start a guild, which clubs will be this game's version of guilds. I couldn't imagine this costing more than like 10,000 pansons, because you can co-op with people, but this is one of the main features of an MMO. And if you lock people out, behind like a price gate for accessing this feature, you don't. If you go, let's say you make it the cost like 30,000, which is about what things are traded for. Telomere hacks were going about 30,000. Perfect Tims were about 30,000. Good eggs were about 30,000, and then Luma eggs fluctuate between like 30 and 70,000 pansun. So if you say like, okay, base point we're putting at 30,000, as a player joining the game, you don't get 30,000 pansuns until like the end of Amnesia. And that's quite a few hours in, and I don't know, it feels really good to jump into the game and to be able to make a club for like, well, just anything, make a guild for you and your friends and be able to keep in contact as you play through and progress the game. So I can't imagine that this would be more than 10K if there is an in-game price, but that was something.
10K seems low.
Yeah,
I'd say 50 to 100K. I don't think it's going to be out of reach. I don't think it's going to be
Yeah.
like a million. It's too much. They want it to be obtainable for everybody, but they don't want it to just be everybody all of a sudden has their own club because here's 10,000 pansons. I mean, you get that in the story, and I mean, right now you can get what I think if you don't spend anything throughout the entire story and you do every battle, you can get like at like 100K or something like that. But
I do want to say too, this is us speculating. We don't know if this is even going to cost anything to make a club.
Right. I mean, it's going to. Most MMOs I've ever played usually have a cost for something like that because, again, it prevents people from just. I mean, it doesn't prevent people from making clubs, but it just makes it like more of a incentive to not every person in the entire game has their own club with one person.
Yeah, I feel it. You were talking about the size limit on clubs at 50 tamers. I am a part of Enigma currently, and I think Enigma. I haven't did any research on this, so again, this is my feelings. I'm pretty sure, or rather, I feel Enigma is like one of the biggest clubs inside of Temtem right now, just because they were pretty heavy and quick on recruiting when Dojo War or when the Club Wars first started. And then not only that, at the end of Club Wars, they combined with a lot of top players from another club. I think it was Divine that ended up splitting. And so with our inactive members and our active members, currently Enigma, which I think is one of the biggest clubs, is at 52 members inside of the club. So setting a limit at 50 is I don't feel like that's terrible or unreasonable. And just with like the amount of players in game, going exceeding 50, that's going to be pulling up. It's going to be pulling a huge portion of the active user base. Because on the lowest points of the server's concurrent players, just using the Steam numbers, the numbers dip down to about 700 players online. So if you say 9% of online players can be in one club, like that it gets a little scarier to make that any bigger. Of like, do you want 20% of your player base all inside of one club? Then it's not very competitive. Of 20% of your online players, essentially online in one club. So, anyways, I just think that that's super cool, and we'll get more information about this in the future. I want to scroll down and I want to speculate on one thing here. Keep in mind, this is the first iteration of clubs, and as such, we'll have no game mechanics yet, Gaijin. Is there anything, just real quick, is there anything that comes to your mind that you could think would be like a benefit they give you that affects gameplay for joining a club that's implemented?
So one thing, I mean, I'm not sure that this is something they'll do, but I know in like for example, in Final Fantasy 14, you get like a small for being in a free company, you can get a small XP bonus and a small like skill bonus, I believe, when doing battles and stuff. I don't know that that's something that they would add, but in a game like this, I can't see any kind of benefits or bonuses that they would really do. I know like clubs are meant to like do PvP with each other and battle and things like that, but I I personally I not very creative. I don't have much of a vision as to what else could be happening.
All right, so everybody on stream saw me that I was doing a prayer. Please, Yah, if you are listening to this, let there be a toggleable feature for joining a club, and if the club, like, prestige is enough, 4 times TV training rate. For the love of all that's holy, let us please have increased TV rates. TV training so slow. I think like percentage increase of just like if your club completes like a certain in-game achievement or something, like everybody in the club has like 5% better capture rates or something, would be kind of cool.
Yeah, I mean, even just a small capture rate would be pretty cool. Nothing to do with Luma rates though.
Nothing to do with Luma rates. Just don't adjust those Luma rates. You and I had a discussion in the official Discord earlier.
We have
about that.
very different opinions.
Yeah, we can come back to that later in the show if we have time, or even we can talk about it in like the post show. Oh, we
Yeah.
can't let we can't let the listeners of the podcast know that there's a post show. Maybe you should tune in live on Saturday, 11 a.m. Central Time. All right, let's run to the next bit of news. Moving on to the third tweet. The official Twitter, again, tweeted, and I'm going to butcher this. Do you want to try reading this tweet of Gaijin? I don't speak French whatsoever.
Oh boy, neither do I, but I mean,
Go for it.
I'll give it a shot. Bonjour, dresseur. Hello, bon déjà. French and German tamers, today we need your help. In our journey towards making Temtem a welcoming place for everyone, we discovered not all languages are equally prepared for gender-neutral speech, and we hit a wall on German and French. Despite all our research, we were unable to find the right gender-neutral choice in those languages, so German and French came out without it. Since then, you guys have let us know it is indeed possible, so it's time we fix it, and we want to heed your advice on the matter. So German and French tamers, LGTBI, and NB peeps, we would like to hear you. Which gender-neutral pronouns would work best in Temtem? Which option do you feel comfortable with? What's the right choice to include such a diverse group? What resources would you recommend for us to educate ourselves in this question? Please help point us in the right direction so Temtem can continue improving and being a place where everyone feels included. Feels seen and included.
Yeah, for me, I'm a non-binary person myself. I present male because like most people see me and they're just like, oh, he's a dude. But when I first started playing Temtem and there was the option for like non-binary pronouns as an English speaking player, and I was just like, this game is already next level right out of the gate at character creation, and it just made me feel so like warmed and welcome as a player. Going and seeing this seeing this tweet from them, it kind of just expanded my mind of just like not all languages are able to compensate for this, because I know specifically that that Spanish is like a gendered language, but the Spanish speaking community has came up with like really cool terms for like making the language like a little bit more gender neutral. Like one of my favorite terms in the last like half decade is Latin, like the Latinx community, for being a term to like increase inclusivity. And I really appreciate Temtem as or Crema as developers, that they are aware and conscious enough to try and make a game, to make everybody feel welcome. Do you have any thoughts on this, Gaijin?
I personally really like it. I know many people within the LGBTI community, and I have several friends. So this really excites me, and I'm glad that they're continuing to try and be as inclusive in every language as they can be. I know it's not always easy, but it's nice to see them continuing to try and improve that. And I know when I first started up, I thought that was really cool too. And I'm really excited, and I liked it.
So Dan, I heard you chime in for a second. I know you're a native German speaker. Did you have any thoughts on this? I know literally nothing about German. Like I was casting once with you and Madstats, and you guys started talking in German. I was like, what is this?
Yeah, so how I would describe German is a very sophisticated language where genders are the A and O of the language, as we have 3 different articles to describe all kinds of genders. So having a gender-neutral language in German is really tough, because if you use the third person for people in German, it's really degrading to them, because the third person in German describes basically objects, animals, stuff like that. So using the third pronoun for them is really tough. So I don't think you can quite pull it off in German as well as in other languages.
Okay. Yeah, and reading through this thread, I learned like a couple things. Nico Blackie, one of the big names from like the early competitive scene, replied with some information on French pronouns. So anybody interested, I suggest just going and reading the tweet. And if you have some information to throw at the devs, definitely hit them up on either the Twitter or on the official forums. And don't go to the Reddit thread and post it. And we'll talk about that later. Yeah. Oh, Reddit. Do you have anything else you want to say on this, Gaijin, before we move on?
Not personally, no. I don't know much about other languages or how they do their, gender pronouns and whatnot like that. But I'm just excited to see them trying to work with that there, and hopefully it will help with, I don't know, maybe people within these cultures can work to find an appropriate gender neutral pronoun. I'm not sure how that really works, but
And I mean, we use language to describe the world around us. We create language, language
it's
doesn't create
evolving
us.
too, which is nice.
Yeah. So Hiespensplit is going to be my German pronoun for
Ooh.
the person of grace.
You didn't say it angry enough.
Oh, Hiespensplit! I'm kidding, and if that offends any German listening audiences, I apologize. I don't know anything about German. I'm sorry. All right, so moving on to the next bit of news. I decided, since there was last week we had so many posts on the official Discord, rather than doing like a news bullet for each and every thing discussed there, that we just do a Discord roundup section where we take all of the things that were released and hinted on Discord, and we talk about them one by one. So going into the Discord roundup, everything we're going to talk about from here down till our next section is just going to be comments from the developers that were discussed on Discord. That said, I highly suggest everybody join the official Discord for TimTim. As you saw in one of the tweets earlier, that whole club chat was something that just happened organically in conversation with the developers as people were asking Suki questions, and she was answering them. The other thing too, I believe I remember reading a tweet that didn't get, or rather one that didn't get covered in there. Somebody asked Suki, because there's an item vault in game for your character. Somebody asked Suki if clubs will have their own item vault to share between members. And that was something that she was like, oh, I didn't ask the developers that. That's something I have to find out. So if you want to communicate with them, highly suggest going into the official Discord and hanging out, because they drop hints, spoilers, leaks, and stuff all the time. So our first one, Yaw. Yaw is always leaking stuff. This guy, he linked a stat, and if we can get this up on, you can just open the notes. Dan, and just show this image. He leaked a stat block from the Tempedia inside of the game, and it's a new Tim that's coming. It has 96 HP, 40 speed, 50 special attack, 74 special defense, 86 defense, 80 attack, and 71 stamina. This all combines for whatever Tim this is to have a base stat block of 497, making it the highest statted Tim currently in the game. And not just like the highest statted Tim, because I think currently two of the highest are Loali and Tataru. Their stats are split between attack and special attack. So even though they're at like 480 and like 485 or something, 488, yeah. Because they're at like so high, because it's split between special attack and attack, their stats are really kind of at like 430 or something like that, because you never run, there are very few Tims that are run as mixed attackers, so it's either attack or special attack. This one has super low special attack, so this that 80 attack investment, like the 497s, it's getting value from all of these stats. It's a really interesting thing to leak. Do you have thoughts about it, Gaijin?
Do I have thoughts about the new Temtem? I do, and I'd like to have a word with it. 488 was Tataru's overall base stats there. And I think this is exciting. It's nice to see how much attack and defense it has, and HP. Like this looks like it's going to be a heavy damage dealer and tanky. Is this gonna be a good counter to Gialis? What type is this? What
Yeah. Who
what kind
knows?
of damage and destruction will this bring to to PvP? I'm excited. It's cool looking, and I need to know more. Hopefully, it's the neutral ram. I want it to be the neutral ram so bad. Neutral Tem hype.
Neutral Tim hype. Okay. Do you want to cover? Well, actually, I guess I'll introduce Suki's hint. For one of the first few times before we record the show, the hint for the next week's SciPark actually went out. The devs always hint the week before what the next SciPark is going to be. Most of the time, it happens on Saturday when we're recording the show, so we don't ever get the chance to include it. This week's hint, it was a Canadian flag. These are always incredibly super confusing, and so next week's Tims and the SciPark are going to have something to do with the Canadian flag. We were speculating on this before the show, Gaijin. Did you want to share that with everybody? Your thoughts?
Our thoughts is that we have no clue.
I have,
as
I have
usual. I mean, okay, we have some ideas, but it just, are they referencing a color scheme? Are they referencing a type with the leaf? Is it meant to be nature? Where exactly are we supposed to be going with this? Is it something that seems like it would be native to Canada, perhaps, or what? Dan had mentioned that he thought it might be scale because it's kind of like a mongoose, right? Right, Dan? Yeah. I personally
Bears
have
had thoughts before.
no clue. I mean, Cernif has kind of an elk-like nature to it, minus, it doesn't really have any antlers, but it's very clearly a deer elk type Temtem. And I know that those are fairly common in Canada. So it could possibly be Diendre, maybe. But honestly, I'm not 100% sure here. The hints are always from another universe.
Yeah, they're a galaxy mind.
I don't know if they're just like 70 head or I'm just one head to intelligence level or what, but I can never seem to understand them.
Here's my thoughts on the hint. I'm thinking an Oklura week, simply because there is a tree with like leaves always falling by it near the Oklura patch, and the leaf on the Canadian flag makes me think that. Mushsugar in chat said it's a leaf. Cernif is a nature type. I don't think it's going to be Cernif because Yaw alluded to you can't catch third evolutions in game, but I could definitely see someone from the Cernif family being in here. That was like one of my guesses. But the other thing too is I do think leaning on the leaf thing of like it could be a nature type. We haven't had a Kinu week. Kinu week on an SV week would be really cool for breeders to get some bang for their buck. So yeah, that's the hint for next week. It is the Canadian flag. Okay, so the next one is super interesting. I actually included two posts here. This came from TM Trainer and TM Trainer was posted something, I think, they posted they were losing sleep over something QA Angel said, and TMT Trainer is one of the people that help mod the various Tim communities on the Reddit and the official forums. And Yaw actually came in last night and responded to his post. So the post that TMT Trainer posted was Q&A Angel, something that Q&A Angel posted last week that we actually didn't cover. And the post was, "Don't worry much about egg moves. Trust me." And Yaw said, "If you're worried about losing egg moves, getting perfected Tims, and missing new egg moves, etc., I would recommend to wait a bit before going for that." There's a big discussion going on back and forth in the Discord about this, that that there is a plan implemented that if you have... So first of all, let's cover this in completion. Tims can only have 4 egg moves bred onto them. There are some Tims, I think Hidati is the only... Hidati and what's the other one? Like Platypet might be the only Tims right now with more than 4 egg moves. And if a Tim has more than 4 egg moves, you have to consider what egg moves you want to put onto it. And then obviously all of the moves aren't coded into the game. As the game goes on, more egg moves are going to be added, and then you might have to rebreed your Tims to get whatever egg move you want on that Tim. I've never worried about this much because fertility enhancers are an item that will eventually be added into the game. So if I ever have a perfect Tim that I want another egg move on, ideally those items aren't too terribly difficult to get, and I can add a fertility to my Tim, breed the egg move on it, breed the perfect stats, and then have, a perfect Tim with the egg move that I wanted. But a lot of people aren't investing time right now into the game and, competing in the competitive scene, getting their team set, because there's so much different stuff they're going to have to do with their egg moves. Oh, and somebody in chat said Gaialis has more than 4. I'll pull that up when I'm not talking on on my other screen. And so anyways, Q&A Angel was responding to that person last week saying, "Don't worry much about egg move. Trust me." Meaning there's something that's going to be implemented here to let you adjust your egg moves and probably account for the fact that more egg moves are going to get added. Yaw came in and discussed this too and said that they do have a plan to address this concern, but it's not going to be implemented soon. So I think that that's just interesting information to post to everyone. Do you have any thoughts on it, Gaijin, of kind of like getting off on one of my stories here?
I think we all know the amount of breeding I do. So personally, for me, the whole egg move thing is not it's gibberish. I'm not sure what's being alluded to. I'm not sure exactly what they mean or what plans they might have. I know that you can only have a set amount on TemTem, and that's really about as much as I know. Breeding's just not my thing. I've done it once. I bred a 7SV Valash with very few. I used I think maybe four DNA strands, and I just got lucky. But no, I just I got nothing. I don't breed. I don't know.
Yeah.
I won't be losing any sleep over this.
This is specifically the reason why I included this was specifically for Vonlin. I sold Vonlin a Valash egg that had 2 out of its or had 1 out of its 2 egg moves, and he bullied me for an entire week until I bred him a Valash that had clinch, which is such a garbage move compared to the rest of Valash's move pool. And I was like, why would you even want clinch on here? And it's like, because I want the perfect Tim that I don't have to worry about, that I have all of that stuff for. So it just makes me feel more comfortable that there are going to be methods in the future to address this, because I don't breed wholly perfect Tims. I breed Tims for moves that I want. I bred my mix, and I didn't want Psy Surge on my mix at the time because I was a new player and I didn't like holds and how they function. I was like, I need to deal damage every turn when I need to be able to deal damage. And so my perfect mix doesn't have Psy Surge on it, and I have to redo that breeding process to get that there, wait, is it Psy Surge? It learns, or it's the one that's one hold or two holds. No, one hold, and it does 100 damage, and it's a mental type ability. And so I have to redo that egg to get that on there. But this makes me feel like really good of just like, oh, there's going to be something in the future to kind of adjust and work with egg moves. You know, I don't wholly have to like focus on doing that right now. And that I feel like that's going to make a lot of players more comfortable of just like, oh, you know, you don't have to not play the game right now because, you know, you can't get the most perfect Tims, and anytime you invest now is going to be negated when more updated things come out in the future. It's just like play, have fun now. When the new features are implemented, you'll still be able to eventually play around with them with the Tims that you've grown to become accustomed to and love. With that, let's jump on to the next section. So we just did the Discord roundup. We have a new section, the Kiswa Rundown. I was talking in the official Discord, and the reason I'm putting this in here is somebody mentioned that they'd like an overview of like all of the information that's going to be in Kiswa. We've been covering this for probably our last couple episodes, so we don't need to go into depth. Yeah, exactly. We don't need to go into depth about all of this, but I thought it would be really cool if we just compiled all of the information that we know and all of the information that we are expecting into a list, and we read it on air. So this is the rundown.
Do you want me to read it for you?
Yeah, I was going to say, how about you read it with that like sexy patented Gaijin Buu voice? So, the first section, Gaijin, you take it, and I'll go into the speculation in the bolded section. But yeah, hit them with the rundown. Tell them of these are all the things that we know are confirmed by the devs that are coming in the next patch.
All right, folks. So this here is the Kisiwa Rundown. Clubs that can support 50 members, 4 different ranks, custom club banners, in-game chat and private club chat, 10 new gear pieces, 40 new techniques, 25 new traits, and 25 new Temtem. Temtem number 100, Kuri. Number 101, Kalren. Number 99, technically, yes. 3 new starter evolutions. Rock climbing gear. New island to explore, Kisiwa. A slew of bug fixes, potentially 27. A reworked kit for Gialis. At least 1 new outfit. New soundtracks for Kisiwa. Balance changes, the ability to type the amount of pansons you wish to trade.
All right, I'll tackle this next little bit. These are things that are unconfirmed, but they've either been teased in game by like NPCs alluding to them, or on Twitter, and so we are expecting these things. So there is an NPC that talks about a water shrine. We know the shrines are what are used to evolve 2i, and the water shrine is up a rock climbing wall. So when we get the rock climbing gear, we're expecting another 2i water evolution. There were new dancing emotes that were tweeted out by the devs several weeks ago. In the roadmap with the summer features, one of the features that is included is chat bubbles to accompany the in-game chat. And we are expecting a level cap increase, which is going to let us, have access to new levels for our Tims that will let us evolve our starters. And then we are expecting new methods to make pansuns. Ya was talking in Discord with another player about adjusting free Tim rewards and adjusting them to be in line with the things that the methods of making pansun from Kisiwa. And he didn't say what those methods of making pansun from Kisiwa were, but we're just expecting a new method. So with that is everything we know about Kisiwa currently. Gaijin, is there anything I might have left out? Because I was like pretty comprehensive in like digging through everything that I've like remember seeing the devs.
No, I'm pretty sure that's basically everything I've seen about Kisiwa. I looking over the list, I'm not really seeing anything. I know there's going to be a level cap increase. I think it's probably going to be like what? You think 10 to 12, but is it 60? Um, New methods to make pans done. Thank goodness. I really, really hope there's something a little bit more interactive than free tem. I know free tem's going to stick around, and that's fine. And I personally would probably do free tem more if they just added like something, like a unique clothing item each week or something. Just something. I know telemer hacks are a huge deal, and I should be going for those, but I've missed
I
them like
want
6 weeks in a row.
Yaw's suit. I want Yaw's suit. If you look at his character in game,
You're never gonna get Yaz suit. That's Yaz fancy boy. I do want the Lumatacharu backpack. I don't care how much it is, but I want it.
yes.
But no, I can't think of anything else you've missed. That looks very 100% current to me as far as things go.
All right, on to the next section. We have listener questions. We have listener question. If you emailed the show and you didn't get your email in by like Thursday of last week, Vonlin probably didn't check it and send it to us. So we have listener question. This week's question comes from Shintigama. Would you like to read it, Gaijin?
Sure. Hey guys, huge fan of the podcast. I've been personally taking some time to learn or lean. I'm assuming lean.
I
Lean into the
copied
competitive
what
scene.
Vonlin sent me. Yeah.
Lean into competitive and its scene. I've noticed that most matches have aggressive starters to open with, especially with the Fantastic Four, in order to either secure win conditions or set up for them ASAP. My question is, would you see a potential with bulkier, tankier team concepts to allow for late game potential, such as having a Cernif with settling or even Raikan with prideful? This is also to consider Earth Tems being much more prevalent with the Kisiwa update, which will most likely obliterate the crystal meta. Sincerely, Shinty.
Yeah, I've got I got a good little bit to say about this. Do you want to answer first, Gaijin, or do you want me to?
I'll let you go first.
Okay. Oh, I see Vonlin in the chat. Shout out to Vonlin.
Who's Vonlin?
I'm sorry. We've got German Vonlin. We don't need you anymore.
Yeah, Germanlin.
Yeah. All right. So Shintigama, friend of the show. I've watched a couple of his streams. He is also a Twitch streamer. Definitely go check him out. Getting into competitive a little bit more. Shout out. Everybody needs to play a little bit more competitive. It's like the devs have done such a good job of like designing this game. Not only do we have incredibly cute Tims, we have such great strategy and really cool mechanics. It's fun. Fight a friend, have fun. As far as seeing a potential with bulkier, tankier teams, I think that is the ebb and flow of every game that everybody is going to try. Everybody's going to try out eventually the strategy of just like, what if I live forever and my opponent can't kill me? Surely that's a way to win. Yeah, and the thing you have to keep in mind about that, when you only have 4 slots on your Tims for moves, obviously you need a damaging move, ideally a big damaging move. You have some sort of status or supportive move or something that can buff, and then generally, your other move is a coverage move. And so with that, you have to be very mindful of the things you can put on teams, and you can make teams bulkier. There are builds for doing that. I think with Temtem, one of the issues you run into with bulky team comps, because we did have a very brief scene in the meta where Adhikar introduced what we call the Adhikar Gaialis, and it was just bulk for days with incredibly beefy Tims that lasted forever. I don't think that didn't survive or take over the meta, and I don't think that it would now either. Because generally, like, let's take Nidrasil, for instance. You run Bark Shield on Nidrasil. Very seldomly do you run Bark Shield and Madness buff on Nidrasil. Like, you would choose one or the other. And then Nidrasil needs, Hypnosis for its status move, and then Toxic Ink, and then Allergic Spread. So you don't really have space to buff Nidrasil's special attack and its defenses. And most of the times that you think about that can buff their defenses choose to buff their defenses, which leaves room in the meta for things like Roar from Rise and Tenderness from Mushuk. And if you put a Tenderness on a really bulky Tem, such as Anaerobic Vonlin, which is one of the biggest tanks in the game, it cannot buff its attack. It cannot get its attack up. And so essentially every round it's spending 20 or more stamina to Noxious Bomb or Hyperkinetic Strike or something the Hyperkinetic will still hit hard, but the Noxious Bomb, is just a tickle. And when you are able to negate, some of the offensive stats of these tanky threats, you run into the problem of, like, sure, you live forever, but you can't kill your opponent's Tims. And then if you can't kill your opponent's Tims, you can't win the game. So I think the game design of Tim is really intelligent in that respect, that you can't just stall out a game forever. You can try with Hypnosis, but you can't stall it out with just making your Tim, +5/+5 defenses, because it does come into the other area where you have to kill a Tim. I think Valash is one of the Tims that can be that can fall into this area of a hyper carry, where you get if you have a Tim that can buff both its defenses and its offensive stats, then it becomes a very different thing, because Valash can become very defensive, but Valash also puts out a huge amount of damage and a huge amount of offensive pressure. I think Sernif is going to find its place in the meta regardless, even if the meta doesn't shift towards tanky Tims. But I think if you want to run an Aerobic Vonlin, a super fast Skyalis, a super fast Pigapect, and a Grandpa with Bully and full investment and speed and special attack and hyperkinetic strike, and you just want to blitz down teams, I think that, like, even beyond this patch, offense is going to be viable. The one thing you have to consider with offense in this game, though, is just you always have to temper it with the amount of stamina available to you. And I will put a note right there and say that I feel Motivator Raiken is underrated, because Motivator Raiken enables hyper offense. Hyper offense is always limited by stamina because you only have one sweat band. I don't know if you want to tackle on anything with that, Gaijin.
I personally have never played a comp match, but even I know that you can put as much as you want into defense and run a fully defensive team, but you won't be able to output the damage you need to be able to take out the Tems that you need to take out. Especially if they have, a tanky Tem or something as well, you're not going to be able to take it out nearly as fast as you need to. And any strategy that one person can come up with, another person can counter. So even if it works a few times, there's going to be somebody that figures out how to beat it. Just like how all these metas have switched in competitive as it is, you lean into one thing and people work out a way to counter that. And it's been pretty cool to see these meta shifts that way. But a defensive only build for an entire team just you've got to be able to deal damage. Without being able to deal damage, it's going to be hard to take out the other Tems that you need to, the damage dealers.
I want to say shout out to Adhikar. I just saw him jump in the chat. That was the we were talking about introduce the tanky, bulky Gaialis to the scene early on. So diving a little bit more into this, Shinty, I hope we covered your question well. This is not related to your question. I put some notes here for us. I was watching your stream earlier this week, and you were playing ranked matches, and you actually placed in 1,518 TMR, and you are being coached by Tsubaki. And it was like really insightful for me to be there listening and watching some of those games. And I was telling Gaijin about this. It changed my perspective and kind of how I approach some of my decision making in ranked. Whereas the guiding principle that I always go is I say, what do I have to lose if I do this? And I find the play that literally nets me no loss. Like there's like if I do this and anything the opponent does isn't bad to the strategy that I'm setting up, I'm furthering my march towards victory inside of this game. And it just like there was one play that as you were talking to Tsubaki, Tsubaki recommended advice that I was just like, well, you can do that, but what do you have to lose from doubling up onto this one slot and doing this? And it was a little bit frustrating to me to watch because I was just like, there's literally nothing bad about this play. Like, this is the play right here. And you guys took a minute to just think about and talk about the turn before finally you selected your moves and you moved forward. And you did something that I wouldn't have necessarily done, but it netted you guys a huge advantage in the game. And then Tsubaki went and started talking about it on stream of just like why you guys chose that. And it wasn't that you had nothing to lose with that play, but it was that you had more advantageous avenues to pursue. And shifting that focus from just like, okay, how can I set up my strategy, and shifting it towards, what is the thing that if it pays off gets me the most ahead in this game. I think that's a real pivotal point for some players in their decision making that can help them climb a lot higher in TMR. So I always tell when I'm watching people play or like I'm giving advice, I'm like, play bold, and I don't take the advice into my own decision making process of like, I always think like I always play safe of just like, okay, what play do I have nothing to lose on, instead of what play do I have the most to gain from. So I learned that watching that stream of just like, look for the plays that give you the most to gain, and I don't know, take a couple risks. So yeah, I hope that answers your question, Shinty. And definitely, if you have a question for the show, write in to, I think it's, oh God, Vonlin's gonna butcher, or Vonlin's gonna yell at me, temtalk@gmail.com. No, temtalkpodcast@gmail.com. There it is. And your question can be answered on the show here. So let's move on from there, Gaijin, and head into our community highlights. This is the section where you'd hear a sound clip. If I had a sound clip.
Thank you, Dan.
All right, so the
and so on.
All right. If you want to pull this up on stream, Dan, we are on the first part of the community highlights. This is just a really funny meme that I wanted to share. It's a big. Do you want to explain it, guys? I've been talking a lot. I don't mind explaining it. I just don't want to.
Oh boy! So it's a picture of two children in a pool and presumably their mother. One of the kids is being helped up by the mother, and she looks very happy. And it says, "New Temtems, new gear, new traits, clubs, and chat." And then in the foreground, there's a picture of what appears to be a child struggling to swim or hold their head above water. And it says Crystal Skates, and is very, very upset. So it's all these, I mean, it's funny because, we have all this new stuff, this new shiny stuff that we're all excited about. And Crystal Skates just, we don't know if we're getting them back next update. I don't think we are. And everybody was asking for them for a long time. Um, but yeah, it's it's really funny.
All right. Yeah, and I thought that was funny too, so I put it in the notes. Moving on to the next one, the Living Tempedia. I thought this was super interesting, and I'm going to preface this with one, if you don't want to know all the Tims in the game, you're avoiding reading the wiki, etc., etc., etc. Don't look at the video at this point. Move ahead. So slight spoilers on that. And then two, you're probably going to hate me for my opinions on this.
Oh
Um,
boy.
Yep, the preface is there. So, a Reddit user completed a living Tempedia. They caught all of the Tims in game that are currently catchable, and then they placed them inside of their box at where they appear inside of the Tempedia. This isn't new news because you can look at your Tempedia, scroll through, and see it has gaps. But where I thought this was super interesting was seeing it actually inside of your boxes. Just with the planned amount of Tims in the game, this takes up 6 boxes worth of space to have one of every single Tim inside of the game.
Mhm.
That coupled with the fact that some people run different builds of the same Tim. They might have 2 anaerobic Volerins that are built in different ways, or 2 Volerins, one that's aerobic and an anaerobic. They run different versions of the same Tim with different TV spreads. And then on top of that, sometimes you catch a Luma that doesn't have the moves you want that you want to use on ladder, but you need to use your perfect Tim instead inside of tournaments. It could wind up with people having 4 versions of the same Tim. And that said, looking at the box, there likely won't be, we already know box space is going to be limited. There likely
Mhm.
won't be space to have, one of every Tim, and then all of your builds of every competitive Tim, and then all of your Lumas of everything. And that you're going to have to be choice with what you want to keep inside of the game in the future as, the game develops and more Tims are added on. And I think for me, I always kind of feel like that's really cool because when I play through like a Pokemon game or something and I see a tamer and they've got like 3 Pokemon, or tamer, Pokemon trainer, that's what they're called in that game. And they have like 3 Pokemon. I'm like, you idiot. Why would you not catch all, bajillion Pokemon and just put them into your boxes? And it, for me, kind of like connecting with my Tim, connecting with my Tamer, and getting into like a little bit more of like the role play of Tim. I think it's kind of cool just like thinking like, okay, there is space for me to have one of every Tim. But as far as like when this game's in full release and I've got all of my Tim and I'm getting, perfects of everything and what's going to be my competitive team, etc., my breeding space and my eggs and my Lumas, you're going to have to be really choice and just like what Tims are important to me. Of once you start hitting that pressure point of, you catch a Luma and you have to release something to store it in your box. And I think that that's kind of cool. It makes you kind of connect with it a little bit more. I know it's not an intended design feature, but it's just something I wanted to share. Anything you wanted to comment on this about Gaijin?
We need more box space.
Yeah, we need more
I
boxes.
mean, I know the problem with box space is supposedly it's expensive. And I can understand that, and maybe they weren't considering adding more box space initially with the Kickstarter and all of that. They'd planned out just the 30, I mean, just the 10 box spaces. But with the large number of sales that we've seen in early access, I feel like maybe their financial situation would be a little bit better, and adding at least another 10 boxes minimum, I think is important. I think it should absolutely be done before full release. I think another 10 boxes is important. Um, People that play these games collect. They collect a lot. Um, people want one of every Temtem, one perfect for, multiple different competitive builds, as you said. If I wanted a full living Luma Tempedia and a full living Tem deck, like just regular Temtem and their Luma forms, I would not be able to put that in my storage box, or even have space for anything else, even if it could fit. I think an extra 10 boxes would alleviate a lot of people's concerns. I just 10 doesn't seem like enough. And I think they're in a position financially, I would assume, where they could potentially add at least 5 or 10 more. I'm sure the issue here is server, uh, it's like
Yeah,
server related
server cost.
versus game related. And even if it comes down to maybe making it like, because I know Path of Exile does this. If you want Path of Exile to be playable for the long term and actually be able to play the game successfully, you basically have to buy storage space, because the game's free. They don't charge to play the game, but they have a lot of quality of life improvements that you can purchase. They're not required. You can play absolutely free. You're just going to have a harder time doing it. Um, but even if that's a route they took here, because I understand server costs are a thing, there's no monthly subscription to Temtem. So once you get your entry fee, that's it. That's that's all the money. Um, so I don't know. I'd be okay with something like that too, but I feel like there has to be more.
Yeah, that's fair. And we discussed this in a previous episode. So yeah, you want my opinion on box space? I'm comfortable paying for it as like a minor thing, but y'all had some comments about it. So yeah, we can move on from there.
Yeah.
Before we go to the next topic from the highlight from the community, this was a discussion about downvoting topics on Reddit and the help for pronouns that the devs asked for. I think we covered this pretty well when we talked about the tweet earlier. The only reason I included it was because I didn't know how much in depth we were going to go on that topic. Are you comfortable with skipping this? Because the Reddit thread did get pretty toxic, but it had a couple interesting viewpoints.
I mean, if you want to skip, I'm perfectly fine. I just think that it's important to emphasize that Temtem is an all-inclusive game. It's for everyone. It's not just for you and your viewpoints. You can have those, but it's for everyone. So just make sure we're welcoming and tolerant of everybody. We're just here to play a game, folks. We're here to have fun, build a community, and be nice. The world's
Yeah.
hard enough to live in as it is.
Okay. Let's actually we'll jump into this, but we'll just skim the surface of it. If you want to pull it up on stream, Dan, the third one, and the community highlights, and actually scroll down to the sticky comment is what we'll read. So when the devs reached out earlier for help on making the game more inclusive and help on these pronouns, somebody reposted it on the Reddit thread, and I think the thread got like downvoted instantly into oblivion. And a user made a discussion on it and talking about why people downvote threads and what Temtem means to them. And it got pretty toxic, but like Gaijin said, we're here to make like a really like just together community. So I'm going to read TM Trainer Effects response, because I thought it was like a really well thought out and comment that I think a lot of people can get behind. There were plenty of other reasons why you'd want to downvote that thread, such as reposting something from Twitter or to Reddit as a random person as opposed to someone official to chase upvotes. So I would be careful about how much you're generalizing, OP. That said, I agree with the basic idea of your posts, but telling people not to up or downvote is silly. The game is supposed to be as inclusive as possible. If you can't respect that, then you also won't receive respect from the staff. There have been a rather toxic group in the recesses of this thread who have said some pretty edgy stuff. If you want to play this game but disagree with what the developers have done, that's fine. Just don't ruin it for anyone else. And that was the main thing I wanted to pull from this thread. There was a user in a Discord that I was in, Gaijin, that will go unnamed, and a lot of people were having fun just playing Temtem. And I just remember them just shoving their opinion down their throat of just like, these Lumas aren't valued. Why do people use PsyPark? This is horrible. You guys are dumb for doing this. I'm the only like real player Luma hunting here. And it's just like, don't ruin it for other people. It's an MMO. It's interaction with other people that makes this game great. And that's the thing I wanted to comment on. Was there anything else you wanted to say, Gaijin?
I mean, that is, it's when you're talking about Lumas in that light, if you have a particular opinion about that, yeah, it's don't throw shade at someone's Luma because they're excited about it, but it's fine to have an opinion, but if it's a strong opinion, maybe sometimes it's best just to not share it.
Yeah, and I mean, and I'm of the thought that no art is ever immune to critique. But if you're going to critique it in a way that is conscious of there are people on the other side of your critique. If you say like dumb game or the dumb devs dead game on Twitter, like there are real people pouring their heart and soul into this game. That's a horrific critique. And if you say, oh, people who Luma hunt in PsyPark are dumb, then it's just like there's actual people Luma hunting in PsyPark who are enjoying it. But it's just like, you're
Right.
just
For
not
a lot of people, as much as I don't agree with making it easy for Lumas to be acquired, because they're supposed to be collectible, they're supposed to be trophies. PsyPark is probably the only chance some people will ever have to get one. Some people just work too much and don't have the time. People spend too much time, well, not too much time, the appropriate amount of time taking care of their family or looking after their family. Like, we all have responsibilities in life, and some of us have a lot more than others, which doesn't allow us the time to sit there and farm 1 in 8,000 odds outside of PsyPark. So, yeah.
All right, so smooth transition. Speaking of farming in PsyPark, what have you been up to in the game this week, Gaijin? Or what have you been up to in general? I see the notes here for myself.
I was Luma hunting for Lumakaku, as I mentioned earlier. No luck on my main account, so now I'm just doing some free temp because I'm broke. And I would like those 2 attack telemer hacks. I don't know that I'll finish all 475 because I'm lazy when it comes to this. But yeah, so I've been doing that. But I've also been playing another game because I've been trying to mix it up a little bit after the Vlash and Tuai. I'm just a little burnt, a little bit. So I'm trying some other stuff, and just there's a lot of games I've been wanting to try. So I've also been playing Sea of Thieves, which I've had a really great time with. It's very relaxing, chill, but also very exciting at times. So that's what I've been up to. I've been trying to mix it up and just relax and enjoy myself, and just do the stuff I love.
Okay, I can get behind that. I hit the ground running this week. I only play probably about 5 or so games of Temtem a week competitively. And I was like, this week I'm going to play a whole bunch. And I actually knocked all those games out on Monday. And I was just like, I was actually feeling like, I was like, man, I'm good. I'm set for competitive games. I played 5 games in a row on Monday. and I landed. I was climbing. I was actually, I think I was on like a four. I lost my first game, and then I was on a 4-game win streak because I had already completed the challenge of the week. So I was like, I'm just gonna straight climb. And I ended that day at my highest TMR, climbing up from the depths at 1094, and I was just like, this is great. I'll take a break and I'll come back to it later this week. And I played a couple ranked games later, and a couple people, I guess, are kind of starting to like know my character. My character's name's not the same as my social media tag. And I played some games, and some people messaged me of like, "Hey, good game" on Discord. I was like, "How did you know?" And so I'm wondering like how much of like my strategy was projected. And all of the work that I did at the start of the week was negated. I lost one game and lost like 30 TMR. Yeah, it was just like you win 5 games, you win 7 TMR like each game, and then you lose one, and then you lose 30, and it's like cool. So anyways, I had a play during the game where I had a Ukama into, I think, a Volcrane, and I was like, oh yeah, the Ukama will definitely kill the Volcrane with 4x damage, and it had 1 Kinu buff on it. And I was like, it definitely kills the Volcrane. And the Volcrane lived with 0.5% HP. Got off a move, and I run 4 crystal attackers on my team, just because I'm a madman. And got off like a stone ball, killed my Valash, and I was like, well, that's not good. And then, obviously my mix couldn't do anything against it. Killed my mix later in, like on a swap in, and I was just like, well, this is bad. And my Akama was killed by something else, and the Volcrane just barely living turned the entire tide of that game for me. And that was my first dive this week, and it hurt, so I'm digging myself back out, and I'll get back up there and keep climbing. Other than that, I was going to TV train this week. It normally takes hours for TV training, not because of how long it takes to kill the Tims, but just the amount to get the encounters. And you can TV train 2 Tims in the same time that it takes you to TV train 1 Tim. And I only have 1 Tim on my roster to TV train right now. And I didn't want to do it because I didn't want to spend time on it and then have to go and TV train another Tim. And like an Angel Gaijin, you messaged me in the middle of the week and was just like, hey, can you TV train some Tims for me? And I was like, yes, yes, I will. Because I was just about to go to the patches anyways. And then you didn't get them to me, so I didn't go to the patches. So I'll be TV training probably this weekend. So other than that, that's about everything that I did this week. Let's move on to our game suggestion part. We can cover this really quickly because we still got our main topic and a couple more things to get through, and don't want to hit the 2-hour mark. So if you want to pull this up, Dan, you can, but I can also just describe it on stream. Earlier, well, actually, a while ago, Nico Blackie posted on there that adding a club-specific outfit to the game would be posted on the game suggestions. Adding a club-specific outfit would be really cool. That changes with the club that you are in, kind of like how tabards were for other games in the what is the game I'm thinking of? World of Warcraft. Your guild's emblem would be displayed on your tabard, and you could put your tabard on your character. This was an old post forever ago, but because we got info about clubs, and clubs are going to have customizable banners, I was wondering about how that script could interact with the rest of the game. Just like whatever your club's customizable banner is, how difficult is it to turn that into a t-shirt for your character to wear? Just like, oh, club t-shirt, whatever club you're a part of, the club banner displays on the t-shirt. I feel like that would be kind of cool, and it's a pretty straightforward suggestion. Anything you want to add on that, Gaijin?
Not really. I mean, I like the idea a lot. It's pretty cool, and it would make a lot of sense when you're doing competitive battles and you have your own team colors, and it makes it more like a sports event. I think that's neat.
Yeah, that would be really cool. So this suggestion is in the official suggestions of the official forums. So go to the suggestion parts of the official forums. It's being talked about now, and the name of it is called, it was posted a while ago, but there's still a discussion on it. It's called Club Outfit. So definitely go in and support, put your weight behind and say, hey, this is kind of a cool idea if you want to. All right, so moving on to our next section, community events and tournaments. A bit of news for everybody. Fellow Tamers announced the date of their Little Cup for July. The tournament date of their Little Cup is going to be July 11th. If you're unfamiliar with the Fellow Tamers Little Cup, it's a circuit. It has a $2,000 prize pool for the final tournament. It's one of the first Tim tournaments offering money for winning in-game matches. The Little Cups have a prize pool of 200 euros, and I said dollars earlier. 200 euros equates to like $220. You can compete. I don't remember if there's an entry fee for these tournaments, but I have the Battle 5 bracket here that I will link. If you want to sign up and compete, there's a channel on this inside of the official Temporium Discord. So if you're watching the channel now, just join the Temporium Discord, scroll down to the Fellow Tamers channel, and you can enter into this tournament. If you win any of the Little Cups, it qualifies you to enter into the bigger tournament. And the bigger tournament, there's bigger prizes on the line. I'm going to move on to Plus's tournament. I don't want to just blow past you, Gaijin. If you want to interrupt me at any time.
No, I was just laughing because the link was denied. we
link
shared stuff. We're not special here.
Rip.
So Dan, if you want to share a link for the Temporium Discord so people can do the Fellow Tamers, that'd be cool.
All right, moving on to the next tournament that was that happened this week. The Plus OP Weekly number 17 happened last night. Tsubaki almost introduced a new strategy to the metagame of waiting till your opponent falls asleep at 4 a.m. and them AFKing and losing the match from not being present. At the last minute before Plus declared Tsubaki the winner, Gold woke up and the finals of the tournament was Tsubaki versus Gold. And it was super late. It was at 10:30 my time, moving into the finals. So I can only imagine how the EU players must have been up at 5 a.m. or something to compete in this tournament. I don't know time zones if that's right or wrong. Anyways, what was super cool about this game, Tsubaki ran a pretty bog standard team comp. Gold had a couple pretty cool things on their team. The first game actually came down to a Mushuk versus Mushuk final couple of rounds, and Tsubaki won the game because of tenderness with literally 1% HP difference. That on turn 30, the game declared him a winner because his Tim had just slightly more HP. The second match was pretty good to watch. All in all, it was a pretty good tournament. Definitely go to Plus OP's channel. Watch the VOD if you want to watch that. So let's jump into our challenge of the week. And this is another section for me. So I promise, Gaijin, there'll be time for you to talk. I'm going to fly through this. Okay?
I'm sure there will be.
I'm going to fly through this. Last week's challenge, 5% challenge. You had to have 2 Tims that have 5% rarity on your team, win a game on ladder. I was able to complete the challenge. It was pretty fun. 5% Tims, they got a lot of offensive power, and they can put out some serious pressure on turn 1, and I think that's the way to go. Throw them both out and just hit the other team hard before they get a chance to get on their feet. The challenge for this next week, I was thinking about it, and I say you have to knock out a Tim on the enemy team with Earth Wave. Why Earthwave? Because we are waving hello to Kisiwa. So you have to put a Tim on your team that has Earthwave, and during the match, you have to knock out at least one Tim with Earthwave and say Kisiwa sends its regards. And if you can get an edgy bot of it and tweet me that would be fantastic. I'm going to try my best to get a Tim TV trained up with Earthwave and use it on a team. So that's the challenge for next week. Knock out one Tim with Earthwave. Let's jump into our main topic, Gaijin. And I'm going to give you some space to talk here over all of these first. So our main topic today is how Crema communicates with the community. And I guess I have this little joke here. I will jump into this joke because I wrote it.
Do you have a joke right now?
Yeah, first things first. Can Crema trust Yaw? Yaw is always leaking their development secrets. He's always posting stuff to the community without going through the official channels. Can Crema even trust him? I'm kidding. So our section today is just talking about how Crema communicates with us as a community. If we like it, if we don't like it, what we wish they do more of, what we wish they would do less of, and currently the avenues we have to reach them. Yeah. So tackle it, Gaijin. Where do you want to jump in on this? And I'll just pick up from you.
Well, firstly, I want to say that personally, from my perspective, I know this is all subjective and everybody has their own point of view when it comes to stuff like this, because some people don't want any information, apparently. Other people want every little thing, and other people just like a slow drip. Personally, I really like how Kisiwa is being handled. I think that Crema is doing a wonderful job communicating with the community and giving us little ideas about what we can expect to see, showing that they are, working on the game, that, it's not stalled out, there's not delays, things like that. And I think they've done a great job through Twitter and the Discord about communicating with the user base that, these are what you can expect. They told us they were pushing back the second half of the spring update and they're rolling it into Kisiwa. And, personally, I'm glad they did that. I'd rather they not rush stuff that's not finished. Take a Cyberpunk 2077 kind of direction with it. It'll be ready when it's ready. Because, there's a lot of people that want. Like, why is this not released yet? This game's dead. They haven't released any new content. It's not dead. It's in development. It's an early access game. Like, come on, people. And it's much better that they take their time and do it right than rush it out, because those same people that are like, give us content, why is this not out, are also gonna be like, what the hell, this is super buggy, why would they even release this garbage, Crema should be ashamed of themselves. Like, there's no middle ground. There's no middle ground. And as much negativity as there has been about them delaying the second half of the spring patch, and Kisiwa not really having an exact date, which they said around July. Like, it's gonna be around July. We have until spring 2021 for the full game release, people. Like, 20 days, not that long. Like, sit tight, relax. If you're burnt out or you're bored of what's happening, there are other games you can play. Play a little bit of Temtem here, play a little bit of anything else there. I mean, even Yaw plays Destiny too, instead of just developing all the time, because people can't. They're not machines, they're people. Like,
yeah.
So
I feel it.
Have another avenue. Like, if playing Temtem all day, every day, all week's not for you, there are other games. I'm sure there's other stuff people like to do with their time, but like,
First of all, Gaijin, I want to say, how dare you? How dare you? I'm kidding.
But yeah, I don't know. I think they're doing a great job communicating with Kisiwa. I like all the little tidbits of information we've received. It's gotten me personally excited and my interest a bit more rejuvenated. Like I said, I was a little bit burnt out after 2i and Valash Week, and I still kind of am, but I'm really excited to make a hard return once Kisiwa comes out. I know that other people, though, were like, somebody in the Discord last night was talking about how they didn't want any information until we were closer to the release date. And first of all, it's like, we don't know when the release date is, and even if it's the end of July, it's not that far. Like, it's plenty early to be, or plenty close to be drip feeding information.
Yeah, I will agree with you on. I feel like they've hit a nice balance because there were, and the time the game's been out in early access for me, there are times when I feel like we've gotten nothing from Crema, and then there are times when I feel like we've gotten just like way too much from Crema. Just like, okay, this is everything we're looking for, and then I feel like we've got a really nice middle ground here of like they're stroking the hype. If you look for avenues on which to communicate with the devs, you can find those avenues. Q&A Angel pops into the official Discord, Ya pops in, Suki pops in, and you can chit chat with them every so often. You and I were having a conversation yesterday in the Discord, and on my end, we never messaged about that privately. On my end, I wasn't frustrated with you at all. I was just like literally stating like my opinions and just having a discourse with you, and I felt like it was appropriate, and other people were just like, oh wow, people are getting so heated at this, and then y'all popped in and posted like a really troll face, and I was like, oh well, I guess y'all's watching this whole thing on there too, and then that led to y'all having a conversation and talking to TM Trainer about some things on there, and it's just like a really cool organic environment that we could talk about this game that we love, and then the devs and game directors could like kind of come in and throw in their 2 cents, or just troll the conversation.
Yeah.
And I don't know, for me that's like a really nice environment. I will say I like the Discord. I do kind of wish that they were a little bit more active, because from my understanding, the only devs that I know about, I know TMT Trainer is a moderator on the official forums, and I believe the subreddit, and then Suki is and TMT Trainer is not a paid employee of Crema. I should say that. Suki is the community manager on the Discord, and I believe Suki also has a hand in managing the Twitter. And then Ya jumps in the Discord, and then Q&A Angel, which is a part of the bug fixing team, jumps in on the Discord. I don't wholly know what other devs actively participate and talk there. I do wish that they were a little bit more forward inside of their communications. I don't remember what game I was playing. It might have been Guild Wars 2, but there's a really cool thing on the Guild Wars 2 forum. Whenever a dev commented on a post, that post was specifically marked with a red mark of a dev has commented here. And it might have been Guild Wars 2, or it might have been something else. I can't remember what it was. But you specifically would know where devs commented and who was being active and who was saying things. And that was ridiculously cool to me, because it helped you just kind of keep up with it more. I don't really have much of a reason to go to the official forums, because the official forums are really cumbersome to me. And it's there aren't areas where it's pointed out where devs comment on things. And then I also don't believe you can search Suki or Ya on the official forums and see their posts or their profile. So it's kind of hard to find information from them in those aspects. Whereas like Reddit, you can see, like you can search the users and it's like, oh, okay, they posted here, here, and here. This is the information I need of like what's going on. And this is the in between the scenes. They encourage people for joining the Discord for those really organic conversations that spring out about the game, of just like the cool things. But I think honestly, I don't want to like pump up TemTalk, but there's a lot of conversations that happen in the official Discord that don't get tweets that have important information that people would never know about. I think if you and I and Vonlin didn't dig through the Discord, search through all those messages, pull out the important nuggets of just like, hey, these are things, the devs have communicated to the player base that are no official avenue have been expressly said this. So I feel like we serve a part of the community that that doesn't exist for those avenues, and I wish that there would be kind of like how we're doing a roundup here of just like, a little important nuggets. Like I think Suki did the post at the start of the week on Twitter of just like, this was what was discussed in Discord, and here are like from those conversations informations about clubs. I think just like they do every Friday at the end of the week of just like, here's all of these cool art pieces. If they could do that at the start of the week of just like, hey, here's all these cool little bits of information that came up organically in conversation for the rest of the player base to know, I think that would be kind of cool.
Yeah. And Zom is saying the problem with Crema communication is that they never even confirm that they read feedback, so the community doesn't really know where to give feedback, or if ever feedback is just shouting into the void. I'm pretty sure they've confirmed with you before that they've been doing bug fixes and stuff, right? And
yeah. It is confirmed, Zom, that they do read feedback on the official suggestions forum. There is a sticky post, I think it's by Ya, that says how they go through and read everything. And the things that pick up enough traction, they actually slap things on it that say like, oh, this is a planned feature, this is too expensive, we can't do this.
Yeah.
Or they try and fold it into the release in a different area. But also in the bug fixes, they, like you said, whenever the bugs are officially like, whenever they have the bugs fixed or they're working on them, they do post that they've seen it and they're working on implementing and when the projected schedule of that implementation for fixing it will be implemented.
Yeah, it's important to remember that there is an official forum. A lot of people probably post on Reddit or something in Discord or social media, but there's an official forum. If you have a bug, a feature request, a suggestion, or feedback, the official forum is probably the best place you can go to do that. And yes, they may not respond to everything. They're not a very big team, and there's a lot of us. There's a lot of players with a lot of opinions and a lot of suggestions, and um, you know, it's important to remember that we greatly outnumber them. So expecting a response
They can't stop us.
expecting a response, to a post is not really realistic. Like they can't respond to everything. And even if they don't respond, it doesn't mean that they're not reviewing it, they're not going to implement something or anything like that. I mean, I'm sure they do their best. Like um but I understand also wanting some kind of validation that yes, I saw this, yes, I'm going to implement this, and I'm assuming that if something gets enough traction, that they do respond on those forum posts as well. I mean, I haven't spent a ton of time in the forum. I've reported a few bugs, I've made a few suggestions, but um I haven't spent a ton of time there myself. I feel like I should spend a little bit more, but yeah.
Yeah, I will say I feel like the devs prefer the official forums for like their communication avenues, like if you're trying to reach out to them or do something, just because it's a platform that is wholly controlled by Crema and they're a little bit more shielded there. And I don't know 100% how I feel about that, just because they're, on one hand, I do see some of the tweets that go out, and people are pretty colorful with their words sometimes, and it can be demoralizing to read stuff like that and not have control over the platform and which part of your members of the team have access to. I remember, I'll say this on the show because we're 90% certain this is what happened. There was somebody talking on Twitter that did some work for Crema, working on the game, and I reached out to them, and they wanted to come on the show and talk about it. However, I'm nearly 95% certain that whatever NDA they signed with Crema prevented them from reaching out and talking to me any further after they checked with Crema, just like, hey, is it cool if we go on TemTalk and discuss this? So we haven't heard back from them. But that is not something that would have happened on their official forums, because Twitter is such a big platform and people can share so many things. And I can message anybody on Twitter that has that is on Twitter. But if you're a mod on the forum, I'm sorry, a dev on the forums, I can't send a message directly to your inbox and say, hey, let's get together and talk about this. And of course, the game's so big that not every dev should be able to be accessed immediately through their social media accounts. But I think having an openness with the player base of being able to communicate on Discord, being able to communicate on Reddit, and being able to communicate on Twitter does a lot more to organically grow your scene, rather than this is our office hours right now in our official forums. Like, I do understand where the divide needs to be between your personal life and your official life, but saying just relegating contact through the official forums, which Crema hasn't did. They suggest the forums, but they never say, like, don't tweet us, don't talk to us on Discord, because I don't believe it's against the TOS to @Suki on the Discord. She's the only one that can be added. They don't say, don't talk to us, but I do feel in some senses that they prefer the official forums because they have that shielding and that control over it.
Yeah.
In regards to Twitter, you were talking about some of the things Zom was saying. I think I've tweeted at Crema like 3 times, and 2 out of those 3 tweets they've either liked or replied to. So I wouldn't say that they're ridiculously hard to get into contact with. And then whenever they tweet something, there are these huge threads that open up on their tweets of people commenting on them. And a lot of the times, as long as they're not super toxic, they're in the responses of the Twitter and they're replying to people.
Yeah. I mean, Twitter, I think, is a little bit easier because, they just need to see the tweet and see if they can like or retweet. There's not, they do respond sometimes, but yeah, I mean, I can understand wanting some more clarification on what they are seeing, Zom. But you mentioned in your next comment, to clarify, most Crema comments in the feedback forums comes from the forum moderators, and we don't know if the forum mods have any insight or even connection with the devs, which they do. They do communicate with the devs, and they can forward information to the developers. They don't just give people access to the forums to moderate and nothing happens. I know personally I've talked with TMT about some stuff, and they did confirm that they would be sharing that information with the developers. So they do have the access to communicate with the developers, and what they see and respond to is probably getting pushed up as well. So
In the goofiness of Yaw, I do want to also throw in something that was funny that happened in the Discord yesterday. Yaw confirmed that Q&A Angel doesn't know anything and people shouldn't listen to him when he accidentally posts information that shouldn't be revealed yet. So sometimes the devs don't even know what's going on.
yeah.
As far as what you is there anything you wish they would do more of, and anything you wish they'd do less of? If you need to think on this, I can tackle this one first.
Yeah, go ahead and tackle that one there.
Okay. A friend of the show, Josh Stryker, commented on this a little bit when we had him on the show, and we've had some background discussions about this. And Josh said that he wished Crema would be a little bit more forward in working with content creators and streamers. I think it would be really cool if they help and if they implement some of the community that is making content for their games into the release cycles of information for this, because it's like all the time, people, well, not all the time, 40 or 50 people are watching Plus, 40 or 50 people watching Gaijin, 40, 50 people watching Josh. I think it would just be a really cool moment. And I posted this as a suggestion in the forums of like when they're Tim to be revealed or something, like if they give it to some of the content creators, or just like, hey, just show this off, like a picture of it or something, like sometime during your stream. I think that would be ridiculously cool, and further just solidifying that, like, hey, we love our community and we love working with and doing stuff with our community. That said, I know the game is in development and a lot of their time is spent in development. I wish they would just do more dumb things with the community of just like, let's get 100 Pigapecks and run around the Pigapec bridge together with, a dev, or, maybe a new cosmetic that's being added to the game, like a dev showing it off in game and saying, hey, if you meet up at this point in the game, you can chit chat with us. Check out the new cosmetic my character is going to be wearing. I think that would be kind of cool.
That would be cool. They had but the main developer for Final Fantasy 14 did that once. Before before they released new content, he was wearing like a new armor set and was walking around, and people could see it and stuff like that. It was super cool.
As far as things I wish they'd do less of, I mean, we've been pretty critical of Crema in previous episodes, so I feel like everybody knows our opinion, so I won't get too deep into this one. I will say, with this patch cycle, they don't want to give an exact date for the Kisiwa update, because as they are finishing and polishing things, if they put an exact date and things go wrong and they need to push it back, or a pandemic happens, they don't want the community like outraged or something that they said this and then they can't deliver on it. With that said, not only are they not pinning themselves down to an exact date, they are giving false hope to people who are guessing the wrong dates. Last night, there was a player who jumped into the Discord. I remember reading this, and they're just saying, just confirming, it's 9 p.m. in Spain right now. We're not going to be getting the Kisiwa update. And this was, I think, it happened at like 4 p.m. yesterday in the United States. We're not going to be getting the Kisiwa update today. And everybody's like, yeah, the devs are all off work. The servers aren't going to be updated. And then Troll Yaw gets on and says, don't give up hope just yet. And then I was like, wait, are we going to get the update tonight? Like on a Friday night? Like, it's not unheard of, but that's wild. And of course, I played a little bit last night. I wasn't like weighted with bated breath, but when I woke up this morning, I definitely went and checked, and definitely no Kisiwa update, where it's just like, there's no, they don't gain anything from saying like the update is coming on Tuesday, but they also don't gain anything from saying the update might drop tonight, knowing full well it's not going to drop tonight. So there are areas where trolling the community is fun, and there are areas where I feel like it's malicious, and I wish they would not give us false hope and things like that.
Yeah, I agree on that. I mean, it doesn't really bother me all that much, but I know for some people it's a huge trigger for something like that. So, I think that, especially with something like this, a big content update, there's a lot of people just really ready and roaring to go. So many people want to play this right here, right now. So yeah, giving people the sense that maybe it's possible it could launch, and then not launch. not really ideal. And I'm sure a lot of people were like little like annoyed, but at the same time, it is Ya. You can't really assume that what Ya is saying is
Ya is
fact.
not a game director. He is an agent of chaos.
Yeah,
I, wa-
Ya is certainly an agent of chaos.
I want someday I'm gonna get like a J. Jonah Jameson cosplay and just come to TemTalk and it's like Ya's a menace to the Crema or to the Temtem community.
uh, but
All right.
I think that everything you said basically about what they should be doing, I do agree with that. I feel like it would be also be nice to see, maybe a couple more developers communicating and maybe just, some more affirmation about things that they are doing or are aware about, like even like a monthly update about bugs that they are aware of and working on. Something would be cool like that, just like a once a month post or even on their forum or wherever, just saying, hey folks, here's the weekly update, the monthly update. This is what we know. This is what we're working on. Priority levels of such things. Because, obviously some bugs aren't high priority. Some bugs are just little annoyances that aren't really a huge deal. And then others are game affecting and need to be fixed. So I think that would be kind of cool. Um, and, not necessarily talking about new content, things like that. But um, yeah, and I think maybe reaching out to people for because there's a lot of people that are very creative, and I think reaching out to people for some like fan themed clothing, like having a contest for some fan themed clothing would be really
Oh,
cool
that would
too.
be super cool. Yeah.
Um, like getting the community involved in helping make this game very, inclusive for all of us. Like, you guys want to be a part of the game too. Here, give us some ideas about some clothes or something you might like, or some color schemes for dyes, or just some things like that would be really cool. Even no matter how small it is, like getting us involved would be super cool. I think that would be awesome.
Okay. Is there anything you want to add on to this before we move on to our closing?
Not that.
I feel like you covered it.
Yeah, yeah. Not that I can really think of. I think that's about it.
All right. So, if you are tuned in and you have been listening, thank you so much for listening to the show. If you have any thoughts of if you like the show, whatever podcast app you're listening on, please leave it a rating and a review. It helps the podcast get seen. If we always love hearing from listeners, you can reach us on our social media tags, which we'll share in a second. If you want to write into the show and you have a question or you just want to express your appreciation, you can email timtalkpodcast@gmail.com and maybe Vonlin will check it. I don't know.
Maybe.
Gaijin, where can the people find you?
For those of you seeing me on screen on YouTube, it's right underneath my name. Underneath my cam, not name. I am on Twitch, Twitter, Instagram, and I think I have a YouTube, but I haven't uploaded anything to it yet. I don't know how to make videos, but I'm gonna look into that. Um, but yeah, so it's Gaijin Boo, and that would be on twitch.tv/it's GAIJINBUU, and I stream 5 days a week. I stream mostly Temtem. I've been branching out and playing some other games. I've been playing some Ashen, which is like a Dark Souls style game. I plan to play Sea of Thieves, and I plan to play Destiny 2 as well. So, anybody that wants to come and hang out and play, well, talk Temtem and hang out, yeah, that's where you can find me.
There is the creator of the show, Vonlin. He is not with us this week as he is out enjoying his 4th of July. You can find him on at Vonlin on Twitch only, VONLIN. He live streams throughout the week. And on Twitter at Talk Tim.
Yeah, about that. Vonlin took the @TalkTem handle, and I stole the @TemTalk handle because I just noticed that he didn't take it. So I now own @TemTalk, and I tweeted at Vonlin on TalkTem asking why they are trying to impersonate my podcast.
Yeah, I don't know why he took that handle, but it's all good. You can reach him on Twitter or Twitch. He live streams throughout the week. Myself, you can reach at PresBKennedy. If you're watching this on YouTube, just how it's spelled right now. On Twitter, I am PresBKennedy, and I live stream D&D content on YouTube. Everybody who's watched this far, thank you for watching, and that is where we are going to end the show. For those of you watching live, we always do a little post show. We might hang out for a couple more minutes. And just imagine right here that Vonlin's playing some music.
Yeah. Vonlin stuff.
We might hang out for a few minutes before we Dan, tell me that you're not
It's been 20 episodes, and you never came once. Hey, my favorite broadcaster, would you like to join? He goes to Havoc. Hey, Havoc.
Yes, Pres?
Here.
Hey, Havoc, you want to be on our show?
Of course I want to be on the show. Oh my god. Okay, Dan. Okay, that's mean.